how you guys doing? Okay, this is another episode of Soulja Talk The Podcast. I told you guys I was gonna get you guys an interview, so I'm here with SGT Muna.
Hey, what's up, guys? How you doing?
We at ALC together, so I decided to do an interview on him. We got released early today, so I said, might as well just go ahead and try to knock out an interview. So, SGT Muna, kind of go ahead and kind of introduce yourself to the people.
All right, how you guys doing? My name is Sergeant Muna. I come out of Fort Bliss, Texas. Here, this is our third day in ALC, and I look forward to looking into more of the material we'll be getting, but also to give a little insight of a little bit of my background and what I think about the upcoming questions he has for us.
Okay, so where are you originally from?
So I'm from an island called Guam, a really tiny island in the Pacific Ocean area. Growing up, I never really thought I'll be joining. Just a little bit about myself, I never thought I'll be joining the military. It was a thing that, usually when you join is because like you have family that's done it, or you had like grandparents, uncles and aunts that have done the military. So for me, it was kind of like I was a late bloomer. I came in a little later than usual, but a little tip for those that decide to come in, age is never a factor for you. It's more of how you think of it and coming in open-minded.
Okay, so where are you stationed at now?
So I'm in Fort Bliss, Texas. I'm under 180 Sustainment Brigade. I work under their PBO as a clerk assistant. I have, going back into my background in the Army, so I was actually an 88 hotel in transportation back in 2016, and I wanted to go ahead and get a little change of scenery, so I decided to look into MOSs, and 92 Yankee seemed like the way to go for me due to the broad duty stations. So being attached to different units seemed like a pretty cool deal, being able to learn people's MOSs and kind of how they work things out in their own operations.
Okay, so are you liking 92 Yankee? Are you liking the MOS?
To be honest, I really like being a 92 Yankee. Some things you should really consider when you're joining the military. I mean, you can always go for any MOS you want to do. If it's like 11 Bravo, 13 Bravo, 92 Yankee, 92 Alpha. It's really your preference, like what you look for. A lot of people don't really tell you like, hey, go for an MOS that can benefit you getting out, or just go for an MOS that you just want to do in the Army. So honestly, it's entirely up to you. Biggest tip I can give is to look into a job that, of course, you enjoy, but look into a job that will benefit you when you get out of the Army.
Okay, yeah, you're right about that. So me, I've been in only 4 years, so I got experience in 92 Yankees, but it's still some stuff that I gotta learn. So how you you coming in, have like the leadership give you the proper type of training to where you efficient enough to do your job?
Coming into Fort Bliss is actually the first duty station I came in as a 92 Yankee. Especially coming as an NCO is a bit of a challenge. You really have to learn as you go, but it's entirely up to you to take initiative to learn your job. So for me, I'm the type of person that can't just come into, like, for instance, I can't just come into my office with my clerks doing their job, and I'm just sitting there and not doing anything. So the best thing that I like to do is I like to ask a lot of questions. I like to ask like, hey, why are you doing this? Why are you doing that? What can I do? Or how can I do that? And so realistically, as an NCO, you can really learn from any rank in the Army. They can be like an E1, E2, E3, E4. They have really knowledgeable people out there. So don't think that just because the person's lower rank or the person's higher rank, like they don't know anything. People come from different backgrounds. So being a Yankee for almost 2 years, I would say I learned a lot, but there's a lot more I would really like to learn, especially at the company level, because I felt like there's a bunch of things that I wasn't able to touch on. I wasn't able to actually do hands-on and administrative side on. So I would like to actually go more back into that. But as of right now, where I'm at, I can see the bigger picture working in the brigade. So I look forward to being shifted around to different sections to kind of learn how to do my job proficiently.
Okay, so now that you guys kind of got like a background story and like kind of his story on his MOS and how he's kind of transitioned into the military and stuff like that. So we're gonna move into another segment of the show where we pick a topic and we discuss that topic on his experiences or whatever he experienced for that topic. So today my topic I chose was SHARP, which is sexual harassment and prevention program, right?
Yeah, SHARP is Sexual Harassment Assault Response Prevention, which, you
can go ahead. You can go ahead.
Yeah, so one thing I noticed being in the Army is the things that they discuss, like SHARP, for instance, sexual assault, sexual harassment, like these are things that happen even outside of the Army. Coming into the Army, I've worked government jobs. I work private sectors. So I know what it feels like to work on the outside. And sometimes the physical and verbal things that we do may not seem like it's out of place, but to other people, we may affect them. So being in the Army, I would say it really has taught a lot of discipline, but most entirely, like it gets us aware of things that we should look out for. And the SHARP, but not just for SHARP, but like there's other topics that we can discuss as well, like later on or whenever he interviews somebody else. But just keep in mind that these are things that happen everywhere. It doesn't have to be specifically in the Army. Like it can happen like outside your house. It can be in your neighborhood. It can be in a shopping mall. So these are just things that they teach now for situation of awareness and things to avoid.
Okay, so dealing with that subject, have you ever experienced any of that, or have you ever witnessed somebody else experience something dealing with that type of situation?
Entirely, I have never seen it in person happen yet, but I have had people in my unit that I went through, the process of that, like being sexually harassed, being sexually assaulted, and these are things that scar people, like realistically. You may not know it, like, if you're at work, there's a person next to you that may seem all jolly and all happy, but deep down inside, like they've been scarred, and that's a very touchy subject that people don't want to speak about because, they're just afraid to bring out what has happened to them. And the biggest thing is like sometimes people, when they interpret that kind of stuff and they talk to you about it, like it brings flashbacks in, and that's some stuff people just don't want to, bring back up. They don't want to dig that path that they went down. It could be a mistake sometimes. Sometimes, it's just people that just want to hurt other people for no reason, and that person just happened to be there at the wrong time.
Yeah, you're right about that. So one of my experiences, I had of an experience like that, but I don't want to kind of speak on it, but there are incidents where leadership might say something uncomfortable or say something that makes you uncomfortable, but you have to know how to deal with those type of situations where they outrank you, or you don't know who to go to correct the situation, or you don't know who to go to say this person is making me feel uncomfortable, or this person is, while we at work, they say like nasty jokes or like something like uncomfortable jokes to where you like come on now, like you really gonna say that at work? So yeah, I've been in those type of situations. Sometimes with being senior NCOs, I'll kind of like act like I ain't hear it, but I feel like it's important to where soldiers need to know who to go to say, okay, this person is making me feel uncomfortable. Do you know who to go to when something like that happens? Or
yeah, usually they have SHARP SHARP reps, and they have sexual assault, sexual harassment advocates where you can speak to, in regards to if you have a situation like that. So don't be afraid to open up. Like, if you hold that stuff in, it can only be so long until you're like a ticking bomb, until you finally be like, I can't handle this no more. I'm gonna go ahead and take my life and stuff like that. So just keep in mind that, people are here to help you. Even if it's your closest friend, hey, if you need that help, you should always reach out. These are things that really affect people in like their day-to-day lives. Like, it can affect your job, and it can affect you physically, mentally. Like, if you're like a really positive person, like you can go down that stress, you can go down that stress path, that depression path. And then these are things that, you can actually fix if you find the right help.
Yeah, you're right about that. So with us being in ALC, so how you liking it out here so far?
I'll be I like being here in Fort Lee. I was trying to actually come here as a reclass, but unfortunately I had to go to Fort Knox. But duty station should never be an issue. It's kind of like what you bring back from learning at school. So usually at a reclass, like, terms and lingo, depending on the MOS, may seem a bit confusing, but just keep in mind that the curriculum they have for you is just to kind of put you in that right path. And then from there, it's entirely up to you to kind of do your homework and do your research and kind of find that answer. But there's always an answer to a question. The hardest part is just finding out where that answer is.
You're right about that. So are you a person who's gonna take the military serious, or like, are you a lifer, or like, do you plan on getting out the military, or what?
That's a really good question, honestly. A lot of us, or not a lot of us, but going 20 years is possible, but it really depends on how you look at it in your own perspective. Like, people can have their own, their own visions, their own plans. Like, you can do 15 years and you can get out because you feel like, hey, I think I've done my time and I can go out and do this. But just keep in mind that while you're in the military, just whatever classes, whatever education, knowledge you can get, take advantage of that, because that's what's really going to help you when you get out. Like, if you just come in and do your 4 years, or you do your 3 years or 5 years, you're like, hey, I'm getting out, at least try to look into something that's going to benefit you. And for me, I honestly didn't want to join the military. It was like a last resort for me, but I had to talk to my wife. For those who are married, if you're married out there, it's your other half that you have to make sure is good to go in regards to your decisions. If you go a one-way street, it's going to end up with a one-way answer. So for me, I wanted to really join the military, but I was just really 50-50 about it. I wasn't sure, and my wife was very hesitant about me making this decision because, when you think military, you're like, oh, you're going to war, but that's not really the situation. You can join the military and you can never deploy. You can be in 2 duty stations depending on your MOS. So realistically, it's your mindset that you come into the military with at this point. But I do look at trying to go 20 years, but I tell my wife, hey, it's really up to my body, whatever my body can handle, go for it. But if you come in, I'll give you a little tip. If you come in as enlisted, you can still do your 20 years. You can do more than 20 years. That's entirely up to you, what you feel about how far you can go. But you can branch out and do different things in the Army. You can look at going to warrant officer, depending on your MOS. You can go to officer candidate school, OCS. Those are things that play a factor. You can always move up in the military. You can move down too if you do the wrong thing. But just keep in mind that if you're on the right track and you have the right leadership and you have the right mindset, you can move up. It's just entirely up to you telling yourself like, hey, I can do this.
Okay, so I'm glad you said that, because this segment of the show, we're gonna kind of go, it's called a speed round, where I'm gonna give you 2 options and you're gonna kind of like choose whichever one you prefer. Okay, so we're gonna go with NCO or officer.
Ooh, okay. I'm gonna go for the officer for that one. The reason being, not to bash out the NCO Corps, but I love the NCO Corps. Don't get me wrong. I love helping people. If I have the knowledge, I'm gonna throw it at you. Because why? Because I went through that hardship, and I feel that if you have the knowledge, share the knowledge. You just save that person time. You just help that person, and your leadership, the way you are as a leader, really reflects on people. But I chose officer because my wife feels that, why not just try to move up? Try to see if you can do it, like submit your packet. And if it doesn't work out, hey, guess what? I'm still in the Army, so it's not gonna hurt me. At least I can check the box and be like, I tried this, that didn't work. Let's try another option. If that doesn't work out, then at the end of the day, you're still in the military.
Okay, so we're gonna go ACFT or APFT.
Ooh, that's a good one. APFT is, for those of you that don't know, or if you're just watching this just to see what the military is like, the Army physical fitness test is like a push-up, sit-up, 2-mile run. Believe it or not, that's a challenge for some. For me, I'm not the best runner out there, but doing 3 events was pretty intense. Depending on, don't get me wrong, like when you wake up, some days you feel like, hey, I'm good to go. And then when you wake up another day, you're just like, man, I just don't feel like doing this. But ACFT, it's a leg destroyer, I'll tell you that. It's challenging and it's rewarding at the end. But I feel like I'm gonna lean more towards the APFT. But as of the ACFT, since I would like to work more on my legs, because my mother-in-law be teasing me sometimes. But ACFT is definitely, overall, I would go for it. It's a challenge, and sometimes as a person, or just for yourself, you don't really look at pushing yourself to doing those events. You look at yourself going to the gym, and you're just like, hey, I just feel like running today, or hey, I'm just gonna work on one muscle, stuff like that. ACFT, it pretty much hits almost everything. So I say, I'll just go for the ACFT.
Okay. So I do feel like this was a great interview. Y'all got to meet Sergeant Muna and basically everything that he's bringing to the table. So right now, that's basically everything that I kind of wanted to touch on. So is there anything else you want to leave the people with? Sorry.
Yeah, man. If you ever decide to join the military, look at your options. Sometimes family is plays a big role in what you join. The Army, or the Marines, the Navy, Coast Guard, Air Force. Just look at what you want to do. Big thing is GT scores. For those who don't know, GT scores really plays a factor in the job you do when you come in. Just because you come in with a very low GT score, you get the bottom of the food chain, does not mean that you cannot increase your score. So when he asked me about OCS or officer and NCO, the reason why I went with OCS officer side is because I came in with a pretty low GT score. I had a 102, and in order for you to be competitive, or in order for you to have a broader look at MOSs and jobs and stuff like that, you need at least a 110. So if you have like a 110 or higher, you can look at like bigger, better jobs in the military. But if you come in with the low GT score, you can still increase that. If you ever decide to BSEP fast class is what I took in Fort Bliss, and that really helped me out, in an honest opinion. So like I said earlier, it's entirely up to you. If you wanna get to that level, just put in the work. I promise you, it'll be rewarding.
And there you guys go. So appreciate you, Sergeant Muna.
Oh yeah, thank you. It was an honor. Yeah.
Appreciate that, Sergeant Muna. So this has been Soulja Talk The Podcast, and I'll see you guys at formation.
All right, you guys take it easy. Once again, thank you. It was an honor being here. I hope I gave you a little bit of knowledge of what you're trying to look for, what coming in the military, or if you are in the military too. But definitely, first time being interviewed, or sorry, I take that back, second time being interviewed, but with the setup he has here is quite amazing. So if you ever get a chance to get interviewed and ask questions, I mean, you know, whatever experience you have, bring it in. Like there's still a lot of things you can learn regardless of what rank you are. But once again, man, thank you.
No
I
problem.
appreciate it. It's an honor.
No problem, sir.